it's a pretty remarkable, just from a crowd management standpoint, and I think there's the reasons why you're interested to turn that into like, oh, gee, this might be getting out of hand, to applause. I mean, there was a moment where it's a little, when you're up on a stage and things are getting a little rowdy, like, oh, what do you do? And so what you do is you shoot straight. And it's still got to be a little strategic, only in the sense that there is a CBA. You're not allowed to say things that impact free agent values. But the Mets are confident that Cohen did not violate the CBA in this case. He didn't say what Alonso was looking for. He didn't say, we're out. He told the truth, which is, we're not out. It's just we're not liking what's going on right now. I thought that it was a great example. I understand the reasons why the CBA is the way it is, but unfortunately, it also encourages a lot of baseball executives and owners to be really boring and corporate sounding and not relate to their fans. The Red Sox seem to have a problem with this all the time. They can't explain what they're doing to fans. They don't deign to do it from an ownership or team president or sometimes GM level. Cohen's like, all right, you're people, I'm a person, let's talk about what this is. I thought that was effective.
And by the way, well, first of all, it was great, but he shouldn't have to explain because he does the talking with his actions. All of his action, like, I'm not just saying this because I believe in Steve Cohen for no reason. All of his actions, I mean, they did sign Juan Soto to boo Stearns and have the unrest amongst the fan base. Like, what is this, 2010? I mean, come on here. So I thought Cohen handled himself very well, but he shouldn't even have to explain himself. Brian, now comparing this to the Yankees, could you see the Yankees hierarchy making similar comments?
Hal Steinbrenner? No, probably not. George Steinbrenner, yeah. George in his heyday. I mean, that was some 1980s style George Steinbrenner right there out of Steve Cohen. He used the words brutally honest, and we as reporters love it when sources are brutally honest. But I've lived it a couple times on the Yankee beat, thinking back to a couple opening days ago when Brian Cashman had the press conference and said, hey, we offered Aaron Judge $213 million. He turned it down, and Judge did not like that going public. And so sometimes you get these little waves here that you got to ride out.
Remember when he said he didn't want Rafael Soriano? Cashman said that at the press conference. That was something too. So yeah, you get these moments.
I also remember Randy Levine spiking the football, $2 million over Dylan Betances, and he said, I'm not an astronaut, and Dylan Betances is not a closer. That was a pretty good quote. We like that one.
It's just fun when they talk.
I love it. We need more of this
Well,
stuff.
the thing is, GMs are afraid of saying things, but the owners are the bosses. I mean, they can say whatever they want.
Well, you do answer to the PA if they want to grieve it, but they're not going to.
No.
All right, so Dave, then how do these comments impact what's going to happen next year with Pete Alonso?
I don't really think it has an impact per se. I mean, like Steve said, I mean, they're still involved. They're still flexible. They're still waiting to listen. He just gave what their stance was, and things weren't what they wanted. So I don't think, Boris or Pete makes much sense to storm away and be angry about what happened, even though Steve did kind of put him on blast there. So I think that wasn't great. I wouldn't feel too good about that if I was Alonso or Boris. But Steve Cohen still has a ton of money. They're looking for some money, so it'd be kind of silly to freeze out the Mets on principle.
Boris did respond. He gave the following quote to our friend Will Salmon. Pete's free agent contract structure requests are identical to the standards and practices of other clubs who have signed similarly situated qualifying offer all-star level players. Nothing different, just established fairness standards. Okay, Brian, how does something like this impact a relationship between an owner and an agent?
Look, I mean, Scott Boras has been around the block a few times here, so I think he understands that there's only 30 major league teams there, and so if you're an agent who doesn't get along with one of the teams, you're not going to be an agent for very long. I mean, there's only so many places your player can go, and so I'm thinking about the Juan Soto negotiations. Scott Boras and Brian Cashman were really trying to get that to work. It didn't happen, and then you move on. You move on to the next thing, and then Boris the next week was saying, hey, Cody Bellinger really wants to be a Yankee. So it's not personal. It's business, to quote The Godfather.
All right, so Andy, after all of that, where do things stand at the moment with Pete Alonso?
Same, nowhere. Nothing doing. There's a lot of stuff to talk about here and stuff to chew on, but, who am I to say where things stand when the owner gave a perfectly clear update? Usually reporters, our job is to talk to as many people as we can, present an accurate portrayal, and I believe I've done that, and we've done that on the show over the course of several weeks. And what Cohen said was sort of along those same lines. Like, he didn't say never, just like we've never said never, but you could clearly see why it hasn't happened yet, why the Mets are frustrated. I'm still getting an expectation that if he comes back, it's going to take a while. I would be it seems like we could easily get to spring training where this is still a topic, and if Pete re-signs, it could be when the Mets are already in camp. There's no reason for the Mets to rush.
And another big part of this whole thing is, well, who else is exactly after Pete Alonso? We did hear last week that it was the Blue Jays. Are they even close to what the Mets' best offer this go-round has been?
The Mets, that's a great question. So, and probably having something to do with why he hasn't signed with the Blue Jays yet, although that's speculative on my part. But the final Mets offer that Alonso turned down, that's going to be tough for him to beat with the Blue Jays. That was the $70 million that we've talked about over 3 years, additional deferred money. That could have been a real win, probably, in what the ultimate dollar figure would have looked like for Alonso. And given what the Blue Jays gave Santander, it was in the 60s after the deferred money. They're probably not going to get as good an offer from Toronto as they've already gotten from the Mets and turned down from the Mets.
I mean, timing-wise, so close to spring training like this, you're kind of in a weird place. I mean, I don't know where time benefits you at this point. I guess it probably does to try to get the numbers up, barring something happening.
The facts are the Mets have offered Pete Alonso multiple contract offers over the last several years. He's turned them down. To think that this is on Steve Cohen or David Stearns because they don't want him is just ignorant and factually incorrect at this point.